Breaking news here into CBS Sports HQ. After all the debate and consternation, we officially have a bracket. No takebacks. This is what it is. So we continue to look ahead, and Danny Kanell is doing the thankless task of already filling this thing out, and you cannot change anything, Danny, between now and then.
I reserve the right to evaluate further, but
okay.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you're just being detained.
10 toes down. Let's do it.
Yes, that's right.
My check bracket.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and throw up Danny Kanell's bracket. The first game of the college football playoff will be a rematch between Alabama and Oklahoma. What happens in round two?
I'm going to give the edge to Oklahoma. I saw that Oklahoma is a home underdog, but I saw this happen already. Ty Simpson has been overwhelmed, and that was the game that he started this downhill slide. I think he's really been kind of, struggling with the pressure that's been on him, and I think he's going to be under duress a lot of the game. My favorite play in that game will be the under, though.
Certainly, based on what we've seen from these. Why don't you like it?
He likes Al.
I got Bama. Everything I said earlier, just ignore that. Wipe the record.
Okay.
They are going to be healthier. OU won that game because they had 3 turnovers, including a pick 6. It's going to be very difficult to repeat
And
that.
Kalen DeBoer did point out they doubled them up in total yardage. They did move the ball against Oklahoma.
Oklahoma has done a fantastic job of getting outgained in games and yet still winning them. Let's go to the 12-5 matchup between the James Madison Dukes and Oregon Ducks. Who's moving on to the next round?
Emily, I can promise you I will not switch this one. This one will be in Sharpie all the way through, no matter what happens. I'll take the Oregon Ducks to advance.
Can we get a spread out of you? 21.5?
Oh, I think they cover.
Yeah, I think they cover too.
Easily, yes.
I think there could be maybe like Dan Lanning revenge based on what happened in their opening round game last year to Ohio State. A little exercising of some demons. The poor Dukes serving up on a platter there. Let's go to the other G5 team, and that is Tulane Ole Miss, and another rematch here, Danny.
Yes, and this one again, Emily, I will not switch at any point until we get this game actually played. We saw it once already. It was 45-10. I will move on Ole Miss, even without Lane Kiffin. Charlie Weiss Jr. is back calling the plays. I'll take Ole Miss.
The Kiffin-less Rebels move on to the next round in Danny Kanell's bracket. How about the U coming in this bracket at number 10, facing off against Texas A&M? Who wins?
I told Mario Cristobal the other day, I talked to him on Friday, and I said, if you guys get in, I think you can do some damage. This to me would be doing some damage. Texas A&M, I don't want to say fraudulent, but they have not exactly been tested. The last time we saw them tested was against Texas. I know this is in College Station and the 12th man will be loud, but I think Miami's physicality will be the difference in this one. So I've got the Hurricanes moving on.
The Aggies defense gives up a lot of explosive plays.
And Miami has some explosive weapons that they can utilize.
Okay, let's move on to the second round. Teams we haven't seen yet because they got those buys. It's going to be number 1 versus number 8 in the Rose Bowl. Who you got, OU, IU?
I know last year we saw a lot of these teams with the bye lose, but I do think Indiana, just saw them. They're so well coached. This is the one where I think they're a more complete team. They can run the football. This would be a great test for them, but I'm going to say Indiana knocks off the Sooners. That offense the lack of offense for the Sooners is going to come back to bite them, and I think it does against Indiana.
Okay, 5v4, Oregon versus Texas Tech. Who's moving on to the semis?
So this is, I think Texas Tech and Oklahoma are very similar. I do not trust Baron Morton on a big stage, and I think you'll also see Dante Moore in that Oregon offense be able to put some points on that Texas Tech defense, which is so good. I don't think they've seen an attack like they're going to see with the Ducks, so I've got Oregon moving on.
And that Tech offense leaves so many points out there to score. I mean, they just struggle so much in the red zone.
In large part because Baron Morton's a little bit too erratic. He misses a lot of guys.
Second straight rematch for Ole Miss facing off against the 3-seed Georgia. Who's moving on? So
we saw this matchup in Athens earlier, and Ole Miss was right there. I think they were leading going into fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden, Ole Miss kind of shut it. They just kept throwing the football for some reason. They got away from Kewan Lacey. But I think Georgia's defense is even better now than they were in that matchup. Kirby's going to be great at making adjustments, taking away what Trinidad Chambliss and the Ole Miss offense does well. So I've got the Bulldogs moving on. Certainly helps a head coachless team like Ole Miss to continue to play teams they've already faced this season. Just have to take a relook at some of those squads. Okay, we got the U, we got Ohio State. Who's playing Georgia in the semis? I know I told Mario he was going to do some damage, but he's already done some damage in the opening game. Exactly, and I would not be surprised if Miami won. But I do think Ohio State's going to be dangerous because this is sort of their rallying cry. We just saw them lose. That was their first big test. I think they'll fix some of their issues, and they better fix the offensive line. Julian Sain was sacked 5 times. You only sacked 6 times all year. They better have an answer for Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor coming off the edge, but I think they do, so I'm going to have Ohio State move on.
I'm just thinking about these defenses and the body types that we've got on each end. This is going to be a fun one, but it will be the semis between Indiana, Oregon, and Georgia, Ohio State. Let's start with the 1 versus 5. Who's moving on to the national title?
So we saw this game in the regular season, and this was probably the first time everybody's like, oh, Indiana's back. They're for real. They weren't just a one-hit wonder. But it was also Dante Moore's first big game. I know he played against Penn State in that whiteout, but then that was right after that game. And it was his worst game of the year. He had 2 interceptions. And a lot of this, so this is what I'm very curious to see. Who Oregon gets back. I am counting on them getting back their offensive weapons. If they don't, this one is subject to change potentially, but I think DeCorian Moore, Evan Stewart potentially as well. This team was really banged up. I think they're going to be healthier. I'm going to give the edge to Oregon and have Oregon move on to the national championship.
Wow, and that round 1 game was in Eugene, this one in a neutral site. How about Georgia and Ohio State? You talk about a helmet game here. Who's moving on to the national championship?
Oh, this will be an absolutely awesome game. We saw these teams in a playoff before in Atlanta, right? And that's when Georgia came. Anybody remember that game? Was tight.
I bet you
It was New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Fireworks went off. The field was
And that one, Ohio State was right there. They were so close. I think they remember that, and I think they get revenge from this one. I'm going to have Ohio State moving on.
Okay, so Ohio State fresh off losing the Big Ten championship, but back in the title game with a chance to win it all again. It's all Big Ten here for Danny Kanell. Oregon, Ohio State, who you got?
I'm going to go with the Ducks. Kind of the opposite of what we saw last year. Remember, Ohio State was kind of forgotten about. They had 2 losses. Everyone was like, what are they going to do? Is Ryan Day going to get fired? They got hot and healthy at the right time. That, to me, is the Oregon Ducks. And Dante Moore, and I love Fernando Mendoza. I think Dante Moore might be the second best quarterback in the Big Ten and maybe the entire country. He's gotten so much better this season. They can run the ball with Noah Whittington. They're a physical team. And their defense, I didn't even mention Bryce Betcher and some of the defensive weapons they've got. Amari Washington along the defensive line, Bear Alexander. They are built to make a run. I think Dan Lanning is just lurking in the weeds right now. I'm going to say the Ducks come out on top.
Certainly helped them not playing in the Big Ten title game with all of those injuries, as you mentioned. Time to tune up, get fresh. Also, James Madison in that opening round. But what's crazy is the Ducks, they don't have a single win over any team in this bracket, and Danny Kanell has them just rolling through the whole thing and winning the national title. What do the numbers tell you here, Mackenzie Brooks? Are they in line with what your friend Danny's doing?
Honestly, yeah. Like, relative for a 5 seed, we give them a 14% chance to win the national championship. That's pretty
good?
high.
Okay.
Yeah, so our highest is Ohio State at 23% chance, to give you an idea there. So it goes Ohio State, 23% chance to win the Natty, then Georgia at 20%, and it's not until number 3 you get the 1 seed, Indiana, at a 17% chance. So they're closer to the same odds as the 5 seed sitting in that 1 seed. And I've been barking up the 3 seed's a good spot to be. The 1 seed doesn't necessarily mean that's the best place and the best position for your team. But the 5 seed right now in the path for Oregon does look pretty promising.
So we put Danny Kanell on blast here, going through his bracket. Who do you have winning it all? I see you've been doing this exercise as well.
I covered this up. Subject to change, because this is most definitely probably going to change. You know, you're talking so high on Oregon right now, but I still think that Texas Tech defense is going to be able to slow them down.
Okay.
I think got Tech going to the semifinals to face Indiana, and then Indiana knocking off the Techsters and getting the national championship to face Georgia. I think Georgia, Kirby Smart is still the best coach in America. As you said, the adjustments. Heck, I even go back to the game against Alabama, which they lost in the regular season. That second half was an adjustment clinic defensively. Give me Kirby Smart and Georgia in national championship with them toppling the undefeated Hoosiers to win the national title.
Wow.
I knew I liked you.
The other thing, too, Gunner Stock, there was a dropped touchdown pass in the second half. Georgia might have won that game outright. They were awesome in the second half of that game.
What a world. We're talking about a potential Georgia-Indiana game in the national championship.
What's my favorite part about this bracket is like there's a lot of teams that I don't think can win it, but I think there's 5 or 6 that can, which is more than I think we've seen in my memory of teams. That, and we've only had this 2 years, but even going back to the 14 playoff, it always felt like there were only 2 that were going to win. Yeah. I think this field is really deep.
We've got several teams that feel like they actually have something to prove getting into this. I mean, you even talk about Ole Miss losing their head coach in Lane Kiffin. You got Miami getting into the bracket after getting screwed last year and then not getting screwed this year, and they feel like they have something to prove here. And heck, even Alabama to a certain extent. Everybody's questioning them. They've been injured and everything. Should they even be in the field? OU, their offense can't do anything, but Brent Venables, I can't tell you how much he's been circling the wagons there. There are going to be some really fired up teams going into the playoff here.
We have 4 different teams that are dancing around that 15 to 20% chance. Typically, you're not seeing that much parity. It's typically one that's kind of a juggernaut.
Where do you have Texas Tech?
Texas Tech has a 5% chance.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with the numbers on that one.
Okay, very interesting. We will continue to react to the new college football playoff bracket. It's here. It's beautiful, maybe flawed a little bit. We've got Alabama officially in, Miami in, and Notre Dame, the first team out of the CFP. We've got more live reaction on the other side.